Here's the crazy thing about nerds. So you ever heard of a nerd rope?
No.
The candy. So there was
The candy nerds. Yeah.
Yeah, so they came out with a nerd rope. They came out with this many years ago. It wasn't a big hit by any stretch of the imagination. It was fairly popular, $50 million in sales annually. Nothing crazy. Somebody said, hey, these nerd rope are good, but if you chop them up, we could make them into clusters. So somebody took a nerd rope, cut it into little pieces, called it a cluster, went from a $50 million candy to a $1 billion candy.
Nerd?
No.
How do you know this?
Do you not eat the nerd clusters? They're everywhere.
I'm not a big... Okay. Yeah, I don't. So they didn't get money from me.
Well, the reason why I say this, because it's good news for you. Because now people have proven smaller things in their mouth are more popular.
Bob and Nate, true American heroes. Bob and Nate, true
And
American
welcome
heroes.
back to the 11th edition of Uneducated Men. We are your true American heroes, Bob and Nate. Nate, how are you today?
Doing great, Bob. Good to see you.
Fantastic to see you as well. I'm in Arizona. My bank accounts and cards got frozen. I went to the bank to get some money on Friday and they were closed. No relations to the Nigerian prince in Zimbabwe who, for some reason, isn't emailing me back. Must mean the Nigerian government has found him. Be the only explanation I can think of. Yeah, so it's coming. We'll talk about it later on the show at some point once it does come and prove all the naysayers wrong. But it is the 250-year anniversary of the United States of America, depending on when you define when the country became official. But this is the day that we declared our independence from Britain. Anything fun you're doing? Or did?
No, lit some fireworks with the kids last night and hung at home. But yeah, quite the production in D.C. though, huh?
That was amazing. Incredibly bananas. And this morning, all the leftists were like, it's smoggy.
I went to try to go buy fireworks on discount just a little bit ago because the kids, I got some of the snakes and the Chinese firecrackers and all that stuff, the really rated PG stuff. So my daughter wanted the backpack that came in. My youngest son got the first backpack, so I went to the stands to get them, and they are all closed. I get it. It's for July 4th, but you'd think it would be like a blowout sale on July 5th, but nope, nothing. So what do they do with all those fireworks that don't get used?
I'm sure they just don't expire. They're just chemicals, right? Phosphorus and stuff. But just to clear this, we want to be inclusive. They're called fire Caucasians now. We no longer use the word cracker.
Is that dad joke one of the day?
Oh, they're coming. I mean, we're going to litter them throughout the show today. Just be ready. I don't know what they do with them, by the way.
I mean, gunpowder eventually goes bad. They must send them off to Kenya or something, like all of the Las Vegas Stanley Cup champions of 2026 t-shirts.
Is there any other like Independence Day? Is Mexico's one's in September, so maybe they just kind of migrate them down and travel. I would guess. I don't think Canada's ever been free of anything, so I don't think they have any kind of they have Boxer Day or something stupid like that. But let's not talk too much about Canada. We got a lot to talk about Canada.
All right, so what mistakes did we make last week?
Well, before we get into that, what do you think at the 250-year anniversary of the United States of America, what makes America great?
Well, I mean, it all starts with the Constitution and those rules that still apply today, and we have done as a country a really good job to preserve it. There's a lot of, I guess, conversation on gun control, freedom of speech and all that, but I think we've done a pretty good job of making sure that those aren't taken away.
Here's a crazy thing about the Constitution and the Founding Fathers. A lot of people don't realize this because you always see pictures of them and they look like a bunch of old dudes. Most of them were in their 20s and 30s. George Washington was, I think, in his early 40s when he became the lieutenant or the general for the army. In his early 40s. These are kids basically deciding what we do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing on them, but I don't listen to 25-year-old kids today. I don't know if I want to listen to 25-year-old kids 250 years ago, but this is the Constitution that we live under.
25 years old back then is probably equivalent to 50 years old now.
Yeah, very true. That's why they all looked old.
It's amazing how fast they balded. I mean, they're wearing wigs at the age of 25.
Yeah, and they're all short, too. I think Washington was like 5'1". That's not true. I don't know why I said that. I think he was like 6'1". But listen, I agree. I think the America is great because it's the one place in America you can be anything you want to be, become anything you want to become. We've talked about it previously, hard work, intelligence, and showing up, and you can just succeed. And I don't think there's a lot of countries like that. I think we are blessed to be able to have this podcast, speak our mind without being feared of being arrested. Hats off to the greatest country in the world. Happy birthday, United States of BOBmerica. Now, what'd you call it? uNATEd states of BOBmerica.
There you go. So that's what we'll call it when I'm president and you're vice president.
Whoa, why am I vice president?
Why wouldn't you be?
Because I'm Batman. I think it's the other way around.
Now, you can be the strategy guy. I'll be the face.
Okay, that's fair. Bill Clinton and James Carville. All right, so let's jump into what we got wrong. We had a pretty clean show. The one thing that we did get wrong, you called it the Truman movie. It's called The Truman Show. Maybe Jim Carrey's best movie, depending on if you liked Ace Ventura or not.
Nah, Cable Guy takes #1.
Cable Guy. That's not even in the top. I mean, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber.
What are you talking about?
Dumb and Dumber's
Have you
way
watched
better
Cable
than-
Guy?
Yeah, of course I watched
Cable Guy has way more one-liners than any of his movies.
More than Dumb and Dumber?
Oof.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We'll agree to
All right,
disagree.
Cable Guy's #2.
Okay. All right. So we talked about, let me say this again. So I called the former vice president's Kamala, and her name is Camilla. Don't want to disrespect.
It's Kamala.
Whatever the fuck, whatever. Okay, whatever. I got it wrong. You got it right. We talked about the last name Nugent. I said it was Nugent. You said it was Huyn. That's not correct. We reached out to our one Vietnamese friend who didn't want to answer and then sent a video on how to say it. And it said Nguyen.
It's Win. It's Win. I'm going to agree to disagree on this one. It is called Win. My friends that have that same spelling pronounce it Win.
Maybe that's
and
the
who's to tell them
Americanized
that they're
version.
wrong? And that's fine. We're in America.
Be whoever you want to be, Nguyen or Win. We talked about Big Mike or Michelle Obama. You said that Michelle looked eerily similar to Barack's childhood friend, Mike.
It's not me that said that. That's what the world says.
Okay, so Mike Ramos is Obama's childhood friend. He doesn't look anything like Michelle. There's a picture of Michelle and Barack way back when, and she had short hair. Think of like Conan the Barbarian style hair. And it was doctored, and they gave her a mustache and said her name was Mike. This is all big fabrication that came out in 2019. Big Mike is not a real thing. Yeah. She does have a big back, though.
Right.
All right, so jumping right into it.
That's all we got wrong. That's pretty good. We're cleaning up our show.
Yeah, we're doing great.
We're going to be called Educated Men in no time.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about a guy named Dr. Seuss. I was told about him through a colleague and really went down the rabbit hole on him. He's a very interesting character. He came out, well, he's passed away recently. His estate is releasing a new book, a book that he wrote that nobody knew about. It's called The Cat in the Hat Sings the 50 States. It's really the first time that a book has been released on this caliber of a guy that just, they found it in a stack of stuff. Pretty incredible stuff. But for him, what's really interesting about him is he kind of grew up during Prohibition. He went to the name Dr. Seuss because he was in college and he got busted drinking and you weren't allowed to drink. So they kicked him off of the newspaper. So he wrote articles under the pen name Seuss, which is his middle name. His real name is Theodore Gazelle. Now, what's interesting about him is...
He was a state champ in track and field, I believe.
Was he?
He's really fast. Yeah, he's super fast. One could say as fast as a gazelle.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
right.
I can fire him off too.
Can you, though?
How does one not find this book that he wrote, which apparently is great, and they're going to publish it in a stack of articles? You would think after he passed away that people would like trifle through all of that stuff, and it just happened not to be found. Just like they recently found a copy of the Declaration of Independence in some archives in London. It's like, how do you just come about that?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not going to theorize on this, but I can tell you he had a treasure trove of books and paintings that he kept secret from the world. And they call it the dark side of Seuss. He created pictures. Think the Cat in the Hat, but it's the Cat in the Hat in a pool hall, smoking a cigarette, shooting 9-ball. He had all these things and he purposely kept them away, knowing that they may tarnish his legacy or his brand. He was very aware of some of the things that he was creating, which can be perceived just dark. And that's the interesting thing. He has the Cat in the Hat that doing weird stuff is making its way public. He had all this stuff that he kept hidden for a very long time, and they're slowly releasing it. Here's a crazy thing. He was married, never had kids, but he wrote kids' books. And he came out and stated like he just wasn't the same guy in real life that he portrayed in all his silly rhyming books. So if you remember him, he's known for Horton Hears a Who, The Grinch, The Cat in the Hat, Sam I Am. Fun thing about Sam I Am was that book was written on a bet. They said, you can't make a book with just 50 words. And he said, oh yeah, bet you I can. And he came out with a Green Eggs and Ham. Do you remember Green Eggs and Ham?
Just had some this morning.
Oh, do you remember I do not like them on a train. I do not like them on a plane. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like those green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I didn't read that.
Impressive.
That came right up I know. But here's his biggest accomplishment. Of all the things he did, the Cat in the Hat, the Grinch, the Horton Hears a Who, all these things, the most important thing this man ever did, he coined the word nerds.
And I use it often today.
This is my favorite word. It is without question my favorite word. I call everybody a nerd. And I wouldn't be able to have this dialect if it wasn't for the greatness of Dr. Seuss.
Now, odd though, you being the biggest nerd of all, citing off green eggs and ham at the age of 48, whatever you are, and you're singing rhymes. So therefore, I will call you a nerd.
That's not how this works. No. Anyway, I don't know how I feel about that. I want to go back to you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I am a nerd. The world, my friend, is run by nerds. It is run by nerds in the tech field. It is run by nerds in the media world. It is run by nerds. And I think one of the things you have to...
I wouldn't say Donald Trump is a nerd.
You think he's cool?
I wouldn't say he's cool. He's got like 10 words in his vocabulary. I would think nerds probably are a little bit more in depth than that.
Okay. But think Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook. Think Elon Musk. You go down the list of people, Jensen Huang.
Are you trying to compare yourself to those gents?
I think I'm more like the intellect of a Elon Musk, but then the looks of a Channing Tatum.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't see that one coming, huh? Anyway, I think we have to accept that the world is run by nerds. The finance people are nerds. The people that are running tech are nerds. The things that you're reading today, this cell phone that we're looking at now was developed by nerds.
And all thanks to Dr. Seuss.
Here's the crazy thing about nerds. So you ever heard of a nerd rope?
No.
The candy. So there was
The candied nerds. Yeah.
Yeah, so they came out with a nerd rope. They came out with this many years ago. It wasn't a big hit by any stretch of the imagination. It was fairly popular, $50 million in sales annually. Nothing crazy. Somebody said, hey, these nerd rope are good, but if you chop them up, we could make them into clusters. So somebody took a nerd rope, cut it into little pieces, called it a cluster, went from a $50 million candy to a $1 billion candy.
Nerd?
No.
How do you know this?
I don't, because do you not eat the nerd clusters? They're everywhere.
I'm not a big... Okay. Yeah, I don't. So they didn't
Okay.
get money from me.
Well, the reason why I say this, because it's good news for you. Because now people have proven smaller things in their mouth are more popular.
Okay. That was a big setup for a segment just to lead to that, but...
Yeah. That's like... That leads us into this next topic. We're going to have a little dad joke off, Nathaniel. Now, I gave you a little time to prepare, and I told you that I was going to bring the fire, but we're going to have a little fun. And maybe if we can create a poll, remember, it's the dad jokes. Nate, you start us off.
You're the one that is very confident. I want to hear you fire one off, and I'll see where I stand.
All right. Well, listen, let's start off in the celebration of the United States of America. Let's talk a little bit about presidents. You know who Monica Lewinsky is?
Absolutely. It's the greatest second lady of all time.
Wonderful. Do you know how much liquid her mouth can hold?
How much?
1 U.S. liter.
So a man was injured while playing hide and go seek the other day. He is currently in ICU.
Oh, that's terrible. All right. So why do ducks have feathers?
Why do ducks have feathers?
Yes, to cover their butt quacks.
Okay, I don't know if I would consider that a dad joke. That's more of a probably high school one.
Okay.
What do you call a man who finished digging?
What?
Dug.
I have a step ladder. I never met my real ladder.
Yep, that was a good one. So meteorologists have weighed rainbows and found out that they are pretty light.
So the WNBA has been sponsored by Sports Authority. I guess the players don't like dicks.
I thought we're keeping this PG dad joke.
Yeah, well, listen, it's my game. I changed the rules midway through.
How do you kill a blue elephant with a blue elephant gun? How do you kill a red elephant? Choke him till he's blue and shoot him with a blue elephant gun.
Okay. I saw my dog the other day looking at the house. I said, what's up there? He said, the roof.
All right. So we'll wait for the polls to come back on whose are better. I feel pretty confident that my dad joke game is a little bit more superior, but you had some zingers in there.
Yeah. I got one last one for you here. My ex-girlfriend said, I have two major flaws. I don't listen and something else.
Very good.
That was fun. Obviously, I think you had one or two good ones in there, but I think we know. I don't think the poll is necessary at this point. You and I are gamers. I think we've been playing games since Xbox 360. I think Call of Duty, Black Ops might have been the first game that you and I started playing on, but we've definitely been playing video games for a long time. And I figured we would just go down a little bit of nostalgic road here and talk about our gaming systems and maybe some of the best of. So the first question is, what was your first gaming system?
It would have been the NES back in the day. Mario Brothers 1. the Uno. How fast could you beat Mario Brothers?
So do you mean Mario Brothers or the Super Mario Brothers? Because the first Mario Brothers was that weird one where they would just, all you did was punch the turtles. And then Super Mario Brothers was the NES version where you would
Okay, let's call it that one. So you go through the portals, you jump on the flags, all that stuff, right? I finished that in 8 minutes, if I remember right.
Do you remember the glitch where you could jump onto and get unlimited lives?
I could never do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever figured that out.
And you would get like the lives would be like different digits, and then you see like an ampersand. And my first console, and I've been thinking about it all week, and I don't remember if it was the Atari or the Commodore 64. I remember playing the Pitfall, and I also remember playing Pole Position on the Commodore 64. But then as a 8-year-old, 9-year-old, I think it was the same thing with you, the Nintendo NES Super Mario Brothers. Now, was that the best game?
I think I enjoyed playing Excite Bike, if you ever played that one the most.
Oh, yes. I remember Excite Bike.
You had to create the tracks, and then you take your dirt bike and run across it. You got to use your creativity, and then you'd run across it afterwards. Great game. Contra was up there, but Excite Bike I'm going to put as top 3.
Can you do the Contra code? Do you still know it?
Up, down, left, right, A, B?
Yeah, up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start, I believe.
There you go.
Right as like the yeah, well, listen. Okay, that's twice. I think Mike Tyson's Punch-Out has to be up there. Did you ever play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Of course.
How many characters can you name from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? That's a tough one, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, you got me there. It's been a while.
So I can name Glass Joe, and then Don Flamingo, and then the fat guy, I think his name was Hippo, and then the Asian guy, Piston Honda. And I think you fought those 4 again. And then there was like Soda Pop, Macho Man, and I think Mike Tyson was the final guy.
That's a pretty nerdy thing to remember. Good job.
Did you ever play Super Techno Bowl?
I did. I had more fun playing RBI baseball.
Was it RBI baseball? Was it actual players like Super Tech? Like you played with Bo Jackson. Okay, same thing.
Same thing. Yep.
Any other games on the NES system that we think we're leaving out?
I mean, Duck Hunt is still the OG. You could sit across the room, crack open a beer. Yes, I was drinking beer by the age of 6 years old.
Okay.
No, that's a lie. I didn't. But my dad would crack a beer and we'd sit there side by side and take turns shooting ducks.
I always wondered how you shot the ducks. I know there's got to be something with the gun that reflected the TV screen or something, but still to this day, I don't understand it.
And it doesn't work on a flat screen. It has to be the old, like,
tube
TVs.
Yeah. So the next after that was the Super Nintendo. Did you play the Super Nintendo at all? Or is this where you started to kind of get out of games a little bit?
We graduated up to Super Nintendo. Super Mario Brothers 3, where you could turn into a raccoon.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
That was the game.
This was the first experience. I think I played Legend of Zelda, and it was a game that I played one night all the way to like 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and I had to miss school the next day because I didn't sleep. Those were my experience with the Super Nintendo. I was getting into that high school range. The next came out was like the GameCube, and I didn't have the GameCube. I don't know if you did, but it wasn't something that got on my radar. I didn't get the Sega Genesis, even though it was in a Biggie song, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Well, let's go back to Zelda. So I could never play Zelda because we didn't own a lot of our games. We had Super Mario Brothers 3 and a couple other games, but I would have to rent it, and you would play that game for a day or two. You can't complete it, and then you have to return it back to the video rental spot, and then, game over. But what was fun, I stayed up many nights, was playing NBA Jam.
Yeah. Where you'd fight, get out of here.
No, what? That's Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay, that's what I play too. Mortal Kombat, no, Street Fighter. But NBA Jam is one where you hit the boost, and when you dunk from like half court.
Yeah, you'd have to put in the codes to where you could be several different characters, but there was some young white kid that, you could jump halfway across the court when you're on fire.
Yes, on fire. That's exactly right. Now I remember that. Nintendo 64 was the next platform that I got into. This was right around my college years. I lived with 4 other guys, and we would spend nights playing the greatest 2 games, I think, still to this day from a fun perspective, was Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart.
Mario Kart was great, but that's when Bond came out too.
Yes, GoldenEye.
And that's when the first person shooter stuff started to come in. And I was in college as well, and we'd all gather in my neighbor's room and sit there and play Bond.
I couldn't play Bond. Everybody played it, and they all loved it, but it would make me sick. Like, it gave me motion sickness, and for the longest time, I couldn't play first-person shooters until I played something called Rainbow Six, and that was the first-person shooter that I was able to play. But
is that why you got that rainbow tattoo on your back?
That's exactly why. Right in the small of my back finger.
Okay, now it makes sense. I always questioned it.
Yeah, well, now you know. It's from a video game.
Okay. So Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six, then PlayStation. PlayStation for me, there wasn't any online games, so PlayStation for me was usually me and another guy drinking beer playing Madden, or me alone playing the scariest game of all time, Resident Evil. There was nights that I couldn't sleep. I wouldn't play it alone anymore. I remember playing one time in my house, and the dogs bust through the window, and my friend knocked on the window right at the same time, and I almost had a heart attack. The Resident Evil was just bananas scary.
I'll take your word for it.
Did you ever play Metal Gear Solid Snake?
No, never did. So I had the Xbox, and that's when Halo came out.
Could you play Halo multiplayer at that point, or was this just you and another person, kind of like the old Contra stuff?
Yes, I was just playing, by myself.
And then the greatest console of all time came out, and that was Xbox 360. I think we both were on that. And the greatest game, in my opinion, of all time, without question, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1.
Was that the first one with the zombies?
No, zombies came World of War.
That was World at War, yeah. The zombies game,
Yeah.
and that was, I could spend hours just doing the same thing over and over again.
The zombies was boring, but Modern Warfare 1 was just unbelievable. The greatest map, BOG, B-O-G, all time, hands down, without question.
Now I'd say it's Nuketown.
Nuketown was so, you would die like 1,000 times.
I just chuck grenades over the top of the house.
It was so tiny. Yeah, and, the funny thing about these maps, when you look at them now, they were just 3 entry points, right? You had the middle and the 2 sides somehow, and they all just kind of went that way. One map would be the exact same map, but with just a different house in the middle, and it was like, oh, I don't want to play this game. This map's terrible. It's exactly the same map. But man, did I love Call of Duty. I mean, I spent hours. And then when Call of Duty 2 came out, I used to run around with the Glock, the dual Glocks, Akimbos.
Well, Call of Duty had its fun, kind of ran its course with me, and now we play Apex Legends, which I think, not that we play often anymore, but that one definitely keeps me entertained.
I'm a big fan of Apex Legends. The time to play it just seems like it's less and less these days, but I do enjoy. I will say this about Apex Legends, though, is I liked it a lot more when they had less characters. Now, all of a sudden, there's like 9,000 people jumping out of the sky or cutting through walls. I'm a minimalist. I am a minimalist. Just shoot guns and kill people. I don't need
Minimalist.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I don't know if it's age or attention, but I've definitely peaked. I was once the captain of our squads, but now I'm definitely taking a back seat.
The what?
The captain. I was the best player.
In which game? I'm sorry. Which game are you referring to?
And Call of Duty. We're talking Apex, and we first started playing. I was definitely the sergeant, captain, whatever, the generals. I was the guy.
Okay. I'm going to let you have that one. That would make you feel better. We'll go with that. We'll jump into a little bit of a serious topic here, and we try to keep this show light and celebration of the 4th of July and holidays before we jump into all the political stuff. But recently, the Supreme Court came out on a split verdict. I think it was 5-3, ruling against the trans athletes. And it's not so much that they said that men are men or women are women or they can't compete. They basically just kicked it back down to the state, similar to Roe versus Wade, where they said it's not illegal to discriminate or eliminate trans women. And it's only trans women. It's never trans men, trans women playing in female sports. Now, the 3 dissents came from all females. And I thought that was pretty telling that.
So it was the female judges that, I guess, collectively agreed that we shouldn't discriminate against men playing in women's sports?
Correct. They felt that it was a marginalized community and they must defend marginalized communities for the most part.
Yeah, that's bonkers to me. Any woman that would allow men to play in their sport, either you have a huge ego or really good at your sport, or it just warped. I don't get it. I don't understand how that's fair.
And we talked about this being the greatest country. You can be whoever you want to be. I truly believe that. You're a man that wants to be a woman, go for it. You're a man that wants to cut off your ding-ding and you're over the age of 18. Okay, wonderful. But just because you can be whoever you want to be doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to do. And I don't think that men who are biologically superior in athletics to women should then go and compete against women because they can't compete against men.
So do I have to chop off my ding-a-ling if I want to go play in the WNBA? Or do they just take my word for it?
I think they would just take your word for it, but
still missed the cut.
This is why I say it only goes one way. We talked about Caitlin Clark and we joked around like she's better than Bronny James. She's not. She's not better than Bronny James. Bronny James can dunk a basketball. She can't. Like, if I could dunk a basketball in 11th grade. First woman I ever remember dunking a basketball was 10 years ago, and people went bananas for it. Like, they couldn't believe it.
There is no chance you could dunk a basketball ever in your life.
100% I could dunk a basketball in high school. I could still grab the rim today.
Are you even 6 foot?
I'm 6 foot. Yes. I had some hops.
There's no chance. I am not buying
Okay.
this whatsoever. I need
Okay.
video proof or something. But
Well, I
anyway,
will find somebody from my childhood that can validate my claim. Here's the point that I just want to make is it only goes one way. I said that earlier is trans men aren't playing in male sports. It's only trans women playing in female sports. And as a father of 3 daughters, I just don't believe they should be able to compete against people that they have biological superiority over. This is why in MMA or boxing you have weight classes. This is why in Little League you have age classes, because there is a fundamental difference in these sexes. There is a fundamental difference in weight classes. It's a problem to me that these women, probably who've never played sports, voted to allow other women to be subjected to this. Like, be whoever you want to be, wonderful, but you shouldn't be able to beat up girls in sports.
And I guess these judges didn't necessarily say it's okay for them to do it. I do agree, though, that they're saying that it shouldn't be in a federal court and that it should go to the states. That part I do appreciate, because that's what the United States, again, we talk about how great it is. And that's part of the reason why is that we allow our own districts to make their decisions.
I completely agree. I'm 100% on board on that one as well. I think there'll be more coming out of it. Here's the one thing that in this case that really just didn't sit well with me. The plaintiff that brought this case was a transgender woman, so a boy, who started taking puberty blockers at the age of 10. At the age of 10. At the age of 10, like, I don't remember what I liked, but I think it was boogers and cereal and crayons.
And you still do?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like boogers and cereal?
I wouldn't trust any 10-year-old to make a life-altering decision. I mean, my 13-year-old can barely tie his shoes.
Who allows a 10-year-old to go on puberty blockers? What happens in 8 years when that phase goes through? My daughter, she went through this goth phase. So her hair was black. And she spent the last 2 years growing out her hair to get it to look back normal. You can't grow back a dingling.
Well, I do have a friend who is no longer married to his wife at the time, but she was a very far left person, taught sex education in college, and they ended up splitting up. She had the boy convinced that he was a homosexual. Now, that's fine and dandy if that's how you feel. But when he was away from his mom and he'd spend time with his dad, he would say, "Dad, I don't think I'm gay." He's like, "I don't think you are either." Well, things didn't really work out great between the husband and the wife. She ended up getting full custody. And then through the rest of high school, he identified as a homosexual, had pink hair and all that other stuff. Now he's graduated out of high school. He's been away from his mom for a couple of years. And now he lives a normal life and living with his girlfriend. So again, through school, he thought that's the way he was supposed to think. And once he was able to make his own decision, it turned out that he wasn't.
Imagine your mom going to you and say, "I'm fighting for you. I'm there for you. I believe in you. I believe in you." And then you're not believing what you're feeling. Are you going to tell your mom that after everything she went through? And be like, "Hey, Mom, I know you did all this for me, but yeah, I think I like boobies." That's the pressure that they put on these kids. Is a lot of these parents want their kids to be something else. And then the kids, they don't want to let their parents down. I just can't imagine any parent saying to a 10-year-old, "You know what? You're a boy, but let's get you some pills to make you a girl because you're going to feel this way the rest of your life." That to me, sir, is insane.
Are they that selfish to be trying to convince them that's the way life is just to align with their political belief? That would be really messed up.
You would hope not. You would hope. But there's some crazy parents in this world.
Some wackos.
Let's talk about Canada.
Canada sucks 'cause it's cold.
Love to talk about Canada. How about that World Cup game yesterday? Canada not only sucks at hockey, they still suck at soccer.
And they won a knockout game versus South Africa, who probably would never have been there if it wasn't for the expanded field in the first place. Yes. Once again, America will make it further in the tournament. Now, they may not go deeper, but they will last longer, proving once again American superiority. America has a big game against Belgium without their best, I guess, goal scorer. I don't know if he's their best player, but definitely their best goal scorer. I hope they win this game. I hope that we can just stick it to Canada's face.
Imagine how good American soccer would be if we didn't have great sports like football, baseball, hockey, and basketball.
Imagine Freak Hill running down the stride line or LeBron James as a goalie. But yeah, it's crazy how good we could be if that was the sport that we really prioritized. But we don't. Football, baseball, basketball, and in part of the country, hockey will always come before soccer.
You know who I think is going to be in the finals of the World Cup in 4 years?
United States of America.
Our friends from Zimbabwe.
There we go. They're going to bring the heat. And we're going to be a major sponsor.
They have everything it takes to be an elite country in the world of sports, and Zimbabwe they'll be up there. I'm calling it now today. 4 years from now, they'll be in the World Cup finals.
We'll be replaying this for all the world to see. Nostradamus. That's Nostradamus.
Nate Stradamus.
Who do you think the best athlete at the World Cup has been this year?
I mean, hands down, it's got to be Messi, right?
No. No. The best athlete
He's got
at the
the
World
most
Cup this
goals.
year. But you got to
Okay.
listen to the way that I frame this. The best athlete at the World Cup this year was none other than my guy, Jameis Winston.
I've heard his name in the news. I don't know what he did. What makes him the greatest athlete at the World Cup? Just for attending?
So yeah, obviously he's a football player, quarterback.
He's never
of the New
been a
York
successful
Giants.
one in the NFL.
No, but he's still an athlete. He's been at the World Cup covering it for ABC or NBC or somebody, and he's just been incredible. Like, he's in the middle of all the fans, eating W's, maybe some crab legs. He's just going bananas. He's everywhere. He's been the most entertaining part of the World Cup. Now, I agree with you on the Messi. The goal he had the other day was just bananas. It was sick. He just crossed that dude up. It looked like he was playing with kids. But best athlete at the World Cup, without question, the amazing former Buccaneer, Jameis Winston.
I see famous Jameis. He's going to be the next Michael Strahan or Nate Burleson.
Probably. Oh, yeah.
He does have that swagger.
He definitely does. He's going to be on TV. He's going to be like a Lee Corso style type of guy. You know what I mean? Out there with the people, and people love him. He's going to make millions upon millions of dollars as an unsuccessful quarterback, and millions and millions of dollars as a successful TV personality.
Jameis, when you get done listening to this podcast, please give us a call. We'd love to get you on and talk more about it.
No problem. So BOBmerica Day is July 1st. BOBmerica gets $1 million every July 1st from the Mets for a contract he signed back in, I think, the 90s. He's going to continue to get that $1 million until he's 74 years old. A lot of people don't realize he's also getting $500,000 from the Orioles, and he'll get that for a few more years as well. So he gets $1.5 million a year, and he hasn't played sports in almost 20 years, which is pretty great by his agent. However, he's not the only person that gets these ridiculous contracts. So Ken Griffey Jr. got $3.5 million from the Reds until 2024. I can't remember when Ken Griffey Jr. last played, but to get $3.5 million a year, that's not a bad retirement fund.
Imagine if Floyd Mayweather took a page out of this book. Probably wouldn't be writing bad checks.
Manny Ramirez. Remember last time Manny Ramirez played baseball?
Had to be in the 2000 teens.
Yeah. He received $2 million a year from the Red Sox up until this year. This was his last year, but $2 million. There's a guy named Chris Davis. You probably never heard of him. He played for the Baltimore Orioles. He had like one good year where he hit 50 home runs. My man is going to get $3.5 million a year until 2037. 1 year of productivity. $3.5 million a year until 2037.
Yeah, once we get our sponsors for the show, maybe that's how we do it. We just divvy it up over the course of years. But, I mean, we'll probably be on for another 20 years.
Here's the craziest of them all. So nothing tops this next one. Shohei Ohtani signed a $700 million deal with the Dodgers. $680 million of it has been deferred. He makes $2 million a year right now in California. And this is why this is one of the most genius contracts I've ever heard of. So $2 million a year. When he retires, after the end of the 10 years, he will get $68 million a year from the Dodgers for 10 years. Now, he was a smart guy, and he will not live in California at that time because California charges a 14% tax on that money. Since he will no longer be living in California, he's going to save himself $98 million in taxes to the state of California, which is corrupt and will blow it on druggies, and will get $68 million a year later on. That is the greatest deferred contract of all time.
I'm not sure how the contracts work with cap space, but in theory, one would say that would be allocated out over the course of the years, frees up cap space to get better teammates by your side to win championships. So the Dodgers, they have the ability now to win the World Series for the next 5-6 years, but in 20 years from now, because they're paying out that extra cash, and granted the cap space will be probably higher by then, but yeah, if they're still paying out that contract back then, they'll probably take a big nosedive for a while.
Yeah, the bill always comes due. You can defer everything you want, but at some point you're going to have to pay it. And they have the best team in baseball. They have the most stars. They have the most money allocated towards those stars. I think Freddie Freeman is also on a big deferred contract. But at the same time, there is no salary cap in baseball. And I think that's what you hear from a lot of the people is the teams like the Rays and the Twins can't compete with the Yankees and the Dodgers because there's no salary tax. There is a luxury tax. If you go over a certain threshold in payroll, you got to pay a luxury tax. This circumvents that. But since this is deferred, they have all this money on these teams and they're not paying a luxury tax either. So it's like a double whammy. There's some debate whether or not these type of contracts will be legal in the next CBA. The players want them, but I don't know if the owners do because it creates an unfair advantage. And there's potentially going to be a strike or a lockout depending on what happens next in the contract negotiations.
Yeah, you're right. Until the Twins sell to somebody that actually wants to make the team better or pay out, they'll always be behind the eight ball compared to these better teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers.
And that's what makes football, love it or hate it, so competitive, and where a team can be the best team in football one year and then all of a sudden is over the cap, has to make cuts, can't sign players, quarterback needs to get re-signed, and they're no longer any good. Think of the team that just won the Super Bowl. They have a lot of young rookie talent, a veteran quarterback who came in that was good but didn't command a $70 million paycheck a year. When he goes to re-sign, they're going to have to pay. Love or hate the NFL, the salary cap makes it very competitive. So every year a team has the opportunity to compete with other teams. A team like Green Bay that maybe isn't in the market, say, as the New York Giants, has the same level playing field in terms of how much money they can allocate. That makes it a little more competitive and also a little more fun to watch, in my opinion. I don't want to see the Dodgers and Yankees every year.
No. Then there's the NBA to where anybody can be a billionaire. What I don't get, though, so with the high salaries, such as the NFL, there's a lot of tickets you sell, a lot of merchandise, and the owners have the ability to make that money to pay the players. In the World Cup, the ticket prices are astronomical. And I don't know how a lot of these people come in from Ghana and Cape Verde and be able to afford to go to one game or multiple games, let alone one game, but they aren't paying contracts to the players. So why is it? I guess they charge it because they can get it, but there's no cost of goods.
And there's probably prizes and things of that nature. I will look into that and we'll dive into it on the next episode. That's a great question. FIFA, where the NFL has this amazing TV deal here in the United States, they don't really have one in Mexico or one in, let's say, Europe. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what all these games overseas is for. But the World Cup, they sign TV contracts everywhere. There's a Spanish TV contract. There's American TV contract. There's a Europe TV contract. There's Africa TV. Like, they are so loaded. And that's where you saw all the corruption that came from FIFA not too long ago. Was these guys were just whacking people over the head and buying jets for themselves and private islands. So I guess we'll have to take a deep dive into how the structure of the FIFA money gets divvied out. But there has to be stuff going back to Team USA and Team Argentina. How do you get Messi to play? I know Team Pride and all that stuff. They got to be paying them a boatload.
I guess we'll find out.
So I'm driving down the road the other day, and it's a 3-lane highway. All of a sudden, these traffic cones come out, and it merges people to the left to make a 1-lane highway. And as I'm going down the road, you almost have 4 accidents as people are hitting the brakes, trying to either get over or trying to make a right into the grocery store or whatever it is. So we drive and have all these cones. And then we get up one more block and the cones just end. And there was no construction. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever for these cones to be out. There was no work being done. There was nothing at all. And I'm starting to believe that there's some powerful attorneys like Glenn Lerner or Morgan & Morgan, for the people, are setting up these cones or working with somebody to set up these cones to cause traffic accidents to then make some money, because there's no other valid explanation in my mind on why these cones are out for absolutely no reason, and it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's the Nevada state flower. So in Clark County, and maybe Nevada, maybe the country, contractors that are doing the road work can start billing the state or county or township once the cones go out. So that's why you'll see a lot of cones out before road construction, because eventually there should be road construction. But as a citizen, how we allow that. And I've thought about going to some of the city councils and try to bring that up to where just because they have cones out and they're causing traffic mishaps, just like you brought up, we're paying for that. As taxpayers, we're paying them to put those cones up for us to be annoyed and late for work and everything else. And they're not doing anything.
Let's just say you have to put the cones out, but do you have to block the lane? Can't you just put the cones out on the side of the road into the emergency lane? Do you have to block the road to get the money?
Yeah, I guess I don't know that answer. On the road that I live down, I have to take it to work every day. It's Cactus. For 1 mile, they had the cones on that meridian, and you could only use 2 out of the 3 lanes. And to your point, it just stopped. And the next day, the cones were all gone and no road construction had been done whatsoever.
Our county commissioners or planners, whoever it is, do some of the dumbest thing. Vegas is a big grid, and most people know, the Vegas Strip runs north and south. And then you have Tropicana, Flamingo, Desert Inn, Sahara. Those are your main thoroughfares. In Vegas, They will do construction and put cones down on all 4 of those same arteries at this very same place at the very same time, causing backups on every single road. I don't understand sometimes the logic behind how we plan or the logic behind, to your point, why these cones are even out in the first place. I should film just driving down the road of cones that are doing absolutely nothing except for causing accidents or making people late to work.
Yeah, we can be the new crew that discovered the Somali fraud in Minneapolis. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I think this is bigger. This is a bigger conspiracy. Being late to work, man, can ruin your life. Somali fraud, I think there's some people that were learning from it, at least.
Your best joke of the day. Now, back to road construction. So I used to go on Fox 5, The Rant, just to complain about it. And it was fun. They probably got sick of listening to me, so they stopped doing Fox 5, The Rant. But I have three ways to get to, I guess, the interstate. There's Cactus, Rainbow, or I could backtrack to Buffalo. This is right after COVID. For about 6 months, all 3 roads were under construction. I could not get to work without having to go through construction.
It's the real pandemic. I got
right.
nothing else.
Not me neither.
Well, Nate, we got some journalism work to do. I'm going to look into the World Cup. We're going to deep dive into the cone fiasco here, and we'll report back next week. If you'd like to educate the uneducated men, please leave us a comment below. Steve Wynn did not message us back, but it's okay. We figured it out.
You mean Steve Nguyen?
That's exactly right. Thank you very much, Nate. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. You too.
Bye.